everyone, I'm Pauline. I'm here to talk to you about the transition from the clinical classroom to clinical application as an intern. Dr. Sharman asked if I put this video together of myself and my cohort members so that we can share with you a little bit of our knowledge, experience, not expertise, but words of wisdom. Hope that you laugh a little bit along the way as we make this video for you and your experience as an intern to be. I'm in the library. Shh. This is a really interesting book. Diagnosed Therapy and Evidence. Listen to this. Conundrums in Modern American Medicine. You're going to encounter that in your rotations as an intern, so be ready. Coming up next, Heather, Carla, and I sit down for a discussion about things that they have learned during the rotation, the most impactful moments, and little nuggets of wisdom they want to pass on to you.
This is our cohort for those who could show up. I am Pauline Forshee. Heather DeMichael is with me tonight, as is Carla. Carla, how do I say your last name? All this time, I've never learned to say your last name.
Savoca.
Savoca. I always want to mispronounce it. So I have Heather and Carla and I are here, and we are talking about our internship, the rotation, the good things that we've enjoyed about it, and learning experiences that we've had along the way. Heather, can you tell me what was your favorite or is your favorite rotation so far?
So far, I have to say my favorite rotation is Special Olympics. I was able to host a health and wellness program. It's like an 8 lesson course. So it usually takes about a month long or 2 months, depending on if you get to see them twice a week. And I got to work with people with special needs, ranging from all ages. So I got to do a couple of adult classes, so adult day centers, and then adult group homes. And then I had a bunch of middle school and elementary classes that I got to see for like 20 minutes almost every week. And it was very fun because when working in the healthcare profession, you get to meet all different types of people. And you're going to work with people who have special needs like autism or Down syndrome or any types of cognitive disorders. So I thought this rotation was very important. And reason why it's my favorite is because I got to experience working with people with special needs. So I got to see it from high functioning to all the way to low functioning. And it was a great learning experience because now I know what I can do just to make sure that they're getting everything out of the things that I'm telling them.
That's wonderful. So do you think by doing this rotation, it's had such a powerful impact on you? Has it changed your mindset or helped to steer you in a direction that you would like to specialize in as a dietitian?
Absolutely. So I went into wanting to be a dietitian for the counseling aspect of it. While I love clinicals in all my clinical rotations, I've liked it, but working with the community, special needs, has been just so eye-opening because you notice that they need to know this information. And I want to be there to give that to them, even if it's just basic nutrients, like talking about proteins or carbs and fats. It's still so important for them to know it. So clinicals are great, but community, I feel like that's where I'm really wanting to go.
I love it. You can see that you're jazzed about that, which you're going to just be so good with that population that I'm excited for you because you have a gentle spirit and your personality, your demeanor fits so well with that population group. So I can see that you are going to do just a beautiful job with that. You're going to be great. Carla, same question to you, dear. What has or is going to be your favorite rotations? What have you done that you enjoy so far and why? Or what are you looking forward to doing and why?
I think my favorite rotation so far has been the Treasure Coast Food Bank. A lot of times I think people just kind of have this, thought that when they think of a food bank, it's simply, okay, well, they give out food and they help people that need food. But the Treasure Coast Food Bank kind of seeing inside it and the way it functions, the way it's organized was just a huge eye opener, not only to the way it functions because they help the community, not just with nutrition source, just in terms of food, but also how to prepare healthy meals, what are healthy food choices, but also finding jobs and, being able to provide cooking lessons for the community. And the Treasure Coast Food Bank was actually like a huge resource for the entire community in so many different ways. It was also very, just again, kind of just exciting to see the types of members that they help. I got to kind of find out a little bit about their needs, the types of families that they help, and it's very diverse. But there's also so much more to it. Yes, you have your family with a lot of kids and not a lot of income. You also have an elderly population as well, and there's a lot of mindset as well involved. For example, people that might feel ashamed or embarrassed about seeking help from a food bank, and so the food bank also provides, again, just kind of a lot of that support, emotional support, that you just don't really think about. You just kind of that preconception. Even when I was volunteering at the food bank, I didn't even see that part of it. So it was just a great experience, kind of going behind the scenes and knowing how much they do for the community. And not only that, but in my role working with them, I created a lot of presentations and in terms of educating the community on so many different topics, whether it was chronic diseases, cardiac, renal, but also, structuring their meal plans, their nutrition, and you just have education in so many different ways to the community. So it was just a very great experience, getting ready to be an RD, but also just learning how the community works together as a whole. And not to mention the Treasure Coast Food Bank is just one food bank from a whole group that works together. You have the city in, for example, one city working with other cities across the state and even the United States. It's just a huge organization that we don't really even think about and we don't know about unless we're in that spot. So that was just an amazing experience.
That's awesome, Carla. I can tell that it really did have an effect on you. Do you know what you're going to be doing when you graduate, or has this made an impact on that decision?
Um, Honestly, this has been really hard for me to kind of find a direction. A lot of my background has been in health and fitness. As you know, but obviously a lot of people don't know, I'm a certified personal trainer and group fitness instructor. And for the longest time, I was kind of trying to figure out how to put all of it together and actually kind of seeing how adults also have that need for preventing and managing chronic diseases. I actually want to focus on sports performance nutrition for adults. So, kind
Oh,
of
I love
helping
that.
people that have those athletic goals, whether it's just recreational sports or competitive sports, to be able to not only perform those activities, but also improve their health as well, because as adults we are going to see diabetes, for example, or heart issues, and combining nutrition with athletics is very challenging, and I think that is probably the best way to combine both of my passions into one.
That's awesome. I love that. So, ladies, I have one more question for you this evening, and that is, Heather, we'll go back to you. What has been the most positive learning experience from your current rotations? I see and understand that Special Olympics has certainly changed the direction or steered your course in a particular avenue, but has there been one particular moment throughout from January to this point that has had an impact that you can look back on and say, that was a changing moment for me, or that was a milestone in my career as a intern?
I would say my first official rotation, which was in February when I was with Dr. Palau, one of the things that she told me that really just like woke me up, because it's so hard to switch, is that I'm a professional. I'm a professional in this field. That's why I'm interning. I got my schooling done. I'm a professional. I need to feel like a professional. So when she told me that, it almost like switched everything I was thinking. I went from being a student to being a professional dietitian. Like that mindset, I think that was the most positive, because then it's like I worked hard to get here. I did it. I'm not a student anymore. So
You've
that was
arrived, exactly, right.
exactly. So it definitely had a positive impact in the sense that I feel like I'm a lot more confident when I talk to clients, patients, residents. Like I'm in a long-term care facility right now. When I talk to them, I have this confidence of, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. I have the education for it. I have the critical thinking for it. I've had the experience. I got this. So I think that was definitely a turning point in everything and just my life in general is that I'm a professional now. So that was definitely the most positive, one of the most positive things I've had said to me in this whole process.
I love that. I do think the fact that, our white coat ceremony was virtual, as it was for people across the globe. We didn't have that moment of transition from student to the ceremony of this is your white coat. You are truly indeed stepping out into the frontier of dietetics and crossing that threshold. So it's wonderful that Dr. Pilau was able to present you with that moment of the dawning of welcome to the profession, welcome to your chosen path. And so I'm glad that you can look back and say she had that moment for you. That's wonderful. Carlo, how about you? What has been the most positive learning experience from January to this point? What can you look back on as a pinpoint moment where you can say, this was life-changing for me. This was a aha moment.
For me, it was probably the webinar that we just recently did regarding Olympic athletes that, just have specific nutritional needs and physical limitations. And that to me was a turning point because when you think of athletes or even adults and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to help them with their nutritional needs and the way they eat and the nutrition they're consuming. But a lot of times we don't really think too much about function and quality of life. And to see an athlete just have certain, physical, and I don't even want to say limitations, but physical challenges and
Right.
to be able to compete at that level, train as hard as they do, and put it all together, it was so impressive. So to me, even though I had that interest initially, that to me was extremely motivating just to see that, okay, if here you have someone who is that driven and passionate about the activities that they do and go through all of these efforts to improve their nutrition, improve their health, and be able to, again, pursue their passion and the things that they love to do, then, as a registered dietitian and with my background, I can be in that spot too to help support them and coach them, guide them to be able to do that. And you have a lot of adults in that position as well. And not just adults, but also a lot of people in general where they might have those physical challenges and they think of health overall in terms of food, but not that quality of life and function. And the nutritional needs change so much from, looking at a sedentary lifestyle or just a very, light active lifestyle to wanting to maybe have more than that. And it might not even be a competitive athlete. It might just be being able to run with your grandchildren or, being able to keep up with your peers at school and whatever that might be. So to me, for me, that was kind of that turning point where I just saw such a big impact in someone's life just by the choices that they made through these decisions and the support that they had and the coaches that they had that made me feel like, what, I want to be a part of that. I want to be in someone's life, being able to help them that way and help them achieve those goals.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful that you want to just literally run along beside them and cheer them on and help them to see, like you said, they're not limitations, they're challenges, and that they have that inner strength to overcome. And within that webinar that we watched, this para-Olympian, she's going to Tokyo, and it's just that she had to advocate for herself, and the dietitian advocated and put together this huge plan that her needs were going to be met. And even within that, the athlete may have to be flying to Europe for a day to get the feeding that she needs and then fly back to compete. And if it wasn't for a dietitian who was there with that knowledge, with that ability and that skill, this athlete would not be able to compete. So there is definitely a big demand for somebody with your skill set and your drive to do that. So that's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. Ladies, is there one last bit of advice that you can leave the incoming cohorts with? Is there any one last tidbit that you want to share? Either one of you can go first and then the other can follow suit.
Okay, I'll go first. I think one of the things that has definitely been holding me up with internships is just being organized. It is very easy to forget different assignments because you have assignments from the school and then assignments from the place that you're at, your preceptor. So being organized and really just laying everything out to see what you have to do and when you can do it is going to be an advantage for you, because again, it is so easy to maybe it slip your mind, or you have so much going on that you might have just not finished it. So being organized, having everything, for me, I put everything by preceptor. So all my assignments are laid out per each place I go to. And that
That's
has helped
beautiful.
me. Exactly. So it's organization and breathing. So once you
Both
organize
very
it,
good advice.
just breathe, because it can be a lot, but it's definitely worth it.
I was thinking about that breathing aspect. That's one of those intrinsic things that our brain is supposed to naturally do. And yet my watch is constantly telling me, breathe, breathe. And like, wait a minute, my brain is supposed to be breathing or I would not be here right now. But there's a different type of breathing. It's that deep breath. It's that meditative, just slowing down breathing that you're referring to.
Breath.
Exactly, right. And the organization is so true. It's so easy to get lost in the paperwork or to get lost in the email. So that's great advice. Carla, what do you have to share?
I probably have a couple things to share. The first one being it is very easy to get overwhelmed by information, both
Yes.
in classes as well as in our clinical rotations. So I think it's very important to always keep in mind looking at the big picture, just kind of taking a step back and thinking, okay, what should I be gaining from this experience? What should I be gaining from this webinar, from this class, from this assignment, from my projects with my preceptors, whatever the case might be. And sometimes just kind of looking at that big picture allows you to kind of refocus in a different way to manage your time more efficiently and also be more effective with your studying and the way that you're doing your projects. That to me, I think, has been a huge help. The second thing is, as always, and I'm a very strong believer in this, just once you find that passion, follow through with it. And a lot of times it's
Absolutely.
easy to get caught up in new things. You're like, oh, hey, this is interesting. Maybe I could do this. But take a step back. Just because something's interesting does not mean that your heart's in it and that you want to do it forever. So just
Right.
again, take a step back and think, okay, is my heart really in it? Am I passionate about this? Is this really something I can see myself doing for 10, 20, 30 years for the rest of my life? And if that's not the case, you just find something interesting and maybe you're like, you know what, yes, this is interesting, but I don't want to do it forever. That's okay. You just learned something new and you can find something interesting, which means it'll be easier for you to learn and use that knowledge and apply it with something related to your passion. But don't give up on your passion. If you know there's something you're passionate about, just keep pushing forward and find ways to incorporate other things into that passion instead of moving away from it.
That's great advice, Carla. We can make anything a hobby that we love, but if it's not a passion, then we shouldn't pursue it as a lifelong goal or a lifelong career path. Make it a hobby, make it something that we do on the weekends or that we volunteer once a month for. That's great advice, to not give up on one's passion, because as you said, you can be doing it for 20 or 30 years, and that's a long time to have invested money, time, education, your support system has been there for you, and then turn out to be miserably sad because you rushed into something or you settled. Yeah, great advice. Don't settle, stick with your passion. That's great.
The Food Science Lab. So many memories. The home of the black bean brownie that my hubby, who most of you know, Terry, came to love. That recipe has been around our nation and back again, shared with so many. And it was all born right here at Kaiser University Food Science Lab. What other wonderful memories have we shared here? Oh my goodness. I think of Fanny and the first time she gave a presentation for Dr. Sharman's Intro to Nutrition and how scared and nervous she was. And now she can stand before groups and lead classes and education programs. I think of Leslie and I, who sat up front right in this very spot here that now has a space between it. And we learned and we worked together, and Carla, who helped me to get through Professor Ferrari's food math, AP, EP, yield percentage. So thank you, Carla, I appreciate that one. But so many wonderful times have been shared here between Dr. Sharman, Professor Ferrari, and Professor Truitt. Thank you to them, and I'm sure you have your own memories that you'll share. Coming up next, Jefferson and I will have a conversation about what he contributed at the Veterans Hospital and his invention and the things he took away from his favorite rotation as an intern.
Hi, Jefferson. I appreciate you meeting up with me today. I know that you had tried to be a part of our discussion yesterday. You had logged on, you were there with Heather and with Carla. Unfortunately, you had some audio and visual issues, so you had to bow out. So thanks for making this happen today. I appreciate you being here.
No problem.
Let's get right into it. I know that you have to go to work shortly. So the questions that I had asked Heather and Carla after you left were, what was your favorite rotation, or what rotation are you looking forward to?
Well, my favorite one so far was my food service rotation at the VA. And I'm not a cook. The class knows that I'm far from the baking and cooking aspect of dietetics, but yet I love the management of the kitchen. So food service at the VA was amazing. They had commercial equipment, a big staff, a lot of beds. So I got to see, like, my opinion, a true kitchen, high duty kitchen work, which is very, very, very cool. So that's my favorite rotation, but I am really looking forward to going back to the VA, since I am going back in about a week or two to do my clinical rotation there. And they just have so many resources and, like, a lot of, like, dietitians there, a lot of patients to be able to work on and work with and help. So that's the one I'm looking most forward to most, but my favorite so far has been the kitchen inside the VA.
I hear a lot of positive things about the VA. So far, everyone I've spoken to has a lot of good things to say about the VA. So that's great to hear. Through all of your rotations thus far, from January up until this point, what has been the most positive learning experience from any of those rotations? What one moment has been the most positive for you?
I think it is implementing my knowledge and what I've learned into the field. Like, as an intern, like, you would think that you're just there to learn, and absorb. But no, we still have information that we've learned throughout our educational courses. So we will be implementing that in our jobs. So, like, the most coolest thing was be able to, like, oh, I know this formula, or I know this process, or I know how that works. I know MNT for that. And to be able to actually talk to people and, like, put that in action is really, really cool. So I think that is.
Jefferson, that has been mine as well. My current rotation, I'm working with pediatrics with endocrine and metabolic disorders. And when I have that opportunity to do something positive and I know it, it's like, oh, I know how to do that. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I finally have stepped across that threshold too. So yeah, that's awesome. What has been your aha moment, or that pivotal point where the light bulb kind of clicked and it kind of changed your world a little bit?
I think when we talk in class, we don't have actual clients there to talk to, right? We just talk about clients. So we talk about, what patients think, what they believe, what their lack of knowledge is. So, but we never get to see it. Well, I think the biggest aha moment for me was actually being in the field and hearing and talking to people and telling them, like, oh, I avoid carbs, or yeah, I saw this commercial online for this pill that helped me lose weight, but it didn't work. Like, we talked about it, and you almost, because I've never was exposed to it in the past, like, I almost, like, thought that they were non-existent or the numbers were so small. But after going to, let's just say Palm Beach County Schools, where I got to talk to the staff of Palm Beach County Schools, a lot of them were the ones that we talked about in class about how they believe in this, they believe in that. And we have to change that mindset of like, carbs aren't bad. It's about the right kind of carbs. Fats aren't bad. It's about the right kind of fats. Don't listen. There's no magic pill that makes you, as soon as you pop it, you lose weight. And to actually be able to see that was like the biggest aha moment to me, because like that was my chance to go in and change that, be able to like prevent that from, hey, stop looking at those commercials. Like those commercials are all like borderline scams. Like the way you lose weight, the way you get healthy is by exercise and nutrition, learning about what to eat. So the biggest aha moment for me was like actually seeing the stuff that we talked about in class and then being able to like hopefully like fix and then talk to them about like how to fix it. That was pretty cool.
That is awesome. Again, that goes back to making a difference and being that authority in our field, not just sitting in class. So that's great that your eyes are open and you got to actually meet people that you didn't think were really out there. So that's cool. And then finally, do you have any nugget of wisdom, just one particular point of wisdom that you could give students who are beginning to go into their internship? What wisdom could you pass down?
Yeah. So I learned from a friend, a really good friend of mine who's an RT, who he said, don't be afraid to do things outside of what we've learned. For example, like I've had I've been around interns from those schools who said certain things like, I'm not here to wash dishes, or I'm not here to swap, clean floors. I'm not here to do that. And yes, true, that's not what we're here for. But when we are in a rotation, we're a guest in that facility. So, like for example, my food service, like even though I was there to learn food service management, I still felt like I had to earn the respect of those crew members there. Who am I to go up there and just simply, hey, start doing management, duties, and then kind of giving orders, or, I went under respect by working on the line, asking how they could help. When they were low on ice cream, I would go in the freezer and I would get that ice cream for them. If I saw a spill on the floor, I'd get that. I'd clean up for them if it was there. If at the end of the night when they were doing dishes, when they were short staffed, I went over there and I got dirty. It's not to say that you have to do that, but I think my advice, I think what helped a lot was that to don't be afraid to go outside of what we're supposed to be doing reasonably, of course, reasonably. So I'm not saying go help out the nurse, with her jobs and giving IVs, but like, don't be like, nope, I'm here as a dietitian student. I'm only here to do dietetics only, because it's more than about just impressing the preceptors, but earning the respect of that facility. That means nurses, that means doctors, that means janitorial services. I mean, anyone. You leave an impression by doing and earn that respect. So that's what I would, I think, because I seen kind of the reaction of like the way I went into like certain rotations versus like some other students from other schools, how they viewed them. So like, I think it really, really like helped me a lot because, I got invited back to the VA again. So I think it was worth it overall.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing to summarize that is be a team player.
Yeah.
Get in there and don't compartmentalize oneself, but be open to being part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, great opportunities happen. Like you said, you were invited back for your clinicals at the VA, and the VA is a wonderful experience if people utilize that. And you certainly have, and you've gotten that invitation back. So I like that wisdom to be a team player, get in there and earn people's respect and show them that you're there to learn and to be a part to help.
Yep, that's for sure.
Awesome.
This is our classroom, the memories of MNT and soon to be your talkback classes. What can you expect at talkback? All the infographics that you made to this point, those PowerPoint slides that you made quickly, you're going to learn to make those on the fly. You'll be given 10 minutes to put together a presentation and make it spectacular at every single talkback. That's all right. Professor Truitt's going to walk you through it. She's going to hold your hand and get you to where you need to be. And remember, you're going to be interns at this point, empowered, encouraged, and full of vim and vigor to get out and conquer the world. Coming up next, I have a conversation with Mara and her experience and memories that she leaves behind for you, and a little bit of wisdom along the way.
Thank you for taking time on a Friday night. Mara, I'm going to get right into this so you can have time with your hubby. What What has been your favorite rotation, and tell me why it's your favorite?
All right. So far, my favorite rotation has been being at the VA. I just started clinicals this week, but I spent 8 weeks there doing food service, and it was just incredible. At the VA, they have interns there all the time. So they let you learn. They understand like what you need to learn, and they really just kind of throw you into situations, and they understand that you might not know what you're doing, but they're still there to like help you if you need a safety net. Like they're always there, but they want to help you learn, and they do that by just throwing you in those situations. And that's kind of how I've always learned best, is just learning from experience. And that's exactly what they do there. And they're not scared to like put you in that position, to challenge you, to make you want to think more. And I mean, just this past week with clinicals has been amazing. I've done probably like four patient notes after going to see them. And each time I did a patient note, I walked through it with the RD afterwards. And they told me exactly like what I did wrong and why, and like what I could do to fix it. Or they told me, well, you can always do this or you can do that. You know, there's not always one right solution to every answer. All cases are different. And they're not doing it like to make you feel bad. They're doing it to generally help you learn. And like they really put that effort into the education aspect of it. And I love that. And the veterans there
Yes.
are so sweet. Like I
love that.
Yeah, I had a patient today. He was 78, but man, he was fiery and just full of energy. And
I know, he was making passes at you. I know.
but like he was so much fun to talk to in the interview, and just such a good patient. And I generally get a lot of those patients there where they're just like fun and just good guys to talk to. And I love everything about that place.
I love that. And I can tell just by your body language how much joy and pleasure that you get from that. Did you know that near the campus in PSL, they've opened a new VA hospital?
No, I didn't.
Yes, go check out the Better Business Bureau and see if they are looking for dietitians, because they probably are. And I bet when you finish your rotations, you may be able to have a foot in the door. You absolutely will get a dynamic reference, I'm sure, because you are having so much fun there. You're a former, a veteran yourself. So that's got to give you a foot up, a leg up. That you are just going to be marvelous. And you're right. It's great that they let you learn and that they teach you what you can do differently, because in the classroom, we don't get that experience. So I absolutely love that. What has been your aha moment, your awakening, when you realize you are the expert in nutrition and what we do? Or have you had that aha moment yet?
Actually, it was last month in my community rotation when I was doing one-on-one consults with patients, and I did a cooking demo, and I also did a presentation on eating healthy while staying on a budget. And honestly, like while I was speaking, I didn't have those same nerves that I used to have when I was in class giving like presentations. I felt like I'm so confident in myself and just so proud that I was doing this. And whenever people had questions, I was able to answer them. And, when it came down to explaining to people why something is healthy, like carbohydrates, and why they're not unhealthy, it was crazy to just like have that knowledge and like pass it forward. And I was just like, wow, like I'm doing this. Like there was no one else with me on that call. It was just me and the patient. And I was just like this is all on me. And I knew, like, even though I didn't know what they were gonna ask, when they asked it, I knew what to say. So the knowledge is there. And it was just like, it was definitely that aha moment when I was doing all of that.
I love that, because you have such that natural empathy with people that you can establish that rapport and come across as the expert, but as the expert without the attitude, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can make that people connection so well. And I keep going back to the first day in class, way back when in Dr. Sharman's class, when I first met you, and to your transformation to today. And oh my word, you just have blossomed and come into your own as the expert in what we do. And I love seeing that. Final question, I'll wrap it up and then you can have dinner with your hubby and enjoy yourself. If you had one nugget of information to pass along to students who are coming behind us, what would it be that you have to share with them about their upcoming rotations?
Just don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid if you don't know something. Don't be afraid if you're nervous. Don't be afraid if you fail. Like, that's what this all is for. Like, this is all one huge learning experience. So don't take anything with a grain of salt. Just take it and learn from it. And just know that you'll move forward from it. But this had to happen so you could learn. So just don't be afraid of that happening and just go for it. Because, man, 5 months ago, before we started internships, I was so scared. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea how I was going to get through the first month, how I was going to finish my first assignment. I had no idea about anything. And 5 months later, like, I have this insane confidence. I feel like I'm ready to become a dietitian. I know there's still so much I have to learn, but I'm not afraid of it. I'm ready to go after it and just to learn. And that's what this all is for. And throughout our career, we're constantly learning, the learning never stops. So just know that we'll always be doing it. So just get used to the process.
So what I'm hearing is be comfortable with the fear because it's always going to be there in some form, but step into it. And when we step into the fear, then we dissolve the fear and it doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
I agree, man. In December, I was a ball of nerves. And then January came and I was like, Nikes. And then now I'm like, snap, okay, we can do this.
Exactly.
But yes, we have to step in and own that fear so that we can dissipate it. I love that. That's great advice. Absolutely.
How many memories have we shared sitting outside the patio here at Kaiser, having lunch together with our cohort, talking about the professors, groaning over the assignments, wishing that we were in our rotations? Well, folks, you've made it. Here you are. The next time you're sitting on these picnic tables, you'll be interns, out of the classroom and into the field with practical application. You've made it. Congratulations and welcome to the team of dietetic interns. Enjoy yourselves. Embrace the journey, whether you're in food service, you're in a clinical rotation, or doing community. Take advantage of each and every opportunity. Enjoy the ride. Reach out to Professor Truitt and know that this is going to be the time of your life. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be busier than you ever imagined. Remember, you're going to be pulling those late night hours most nights, but it will be over before you know it. So hang in there, take a deep breath, and step right in. Congratulations, guys, you've made it.